It's like I want to have as big of an impact on the world as I can, and as many people as I can. And yeah, time moves so quickly, especially when you're busy, especially when you're doing what you love. And so yeah, the song really is a reminder to myself. I mean, that's what it is. It's a reminder to slow down and enjoy the little things in life, because otherwise, time will pass you, and you'll regret it. You'll regret it down the line. And so it was reminiscing about, like I said, the time I learned to wheelie on my bike, and the time, and then also thinking about the future and being like, you want to remember those things because you want to teach them to your kids, and you want to, you don't know when you'll be gone, and it's less about, worrying about the future, and more about, understanding where you are, and appreciating everything you have. Yes, I mean, I wrote that about a family member of mine. We had a falling out when we were younger, and we didn't talk for a very long time. We talk now, but still, it's our relationship's shaky. But I really felt I went in with there being like, I think it's when you have with family, and even with certain people, you can have it as well. I like making songs that can apply to more than just one specific situation. But
a good song always does, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was about that relationship, and how I felt like I just want them to know that I want them to hear the song, and I want them to know that I love them, and that I care about them, and that I think family love is a different kind of love, and I think that we have a different kind of love, and that it's not the same. No one really understand. No one will understand your relationships, regardless if it's with your family or your significant other or whoever. Everyone has you have a unique kind of love, and so it's called kind of love, but really it's a different kind of love, and that's obviously the hook. And it's about that relationship, and just me wanting to know that I'd go to the end of the earth, even though we've struggled and stuff, I would go to the ends of the earth for them, and the same for anyone else in my family, and that's why that also inspired the title of the EP, because the first lyric is "Dear whoever wants to hear," but that sounds too like Dr. Seussy, so I was like, "To whoever wants to hear." That's better. Paranoid is about that feeling of paranoia. Of course, I said this in a TikTok. I was like, "Paranoia is about feeling paranoia," and the whole comment section was like, "Paranoia is a feeling about paranoia." Like, wow. But yeah, it is. It's about that feeling of paranoia whenever you're, or at least for me, because I've had poor past relationships. Ever since my past relationships, anytime I'm talking to somebody that, it starts feeling like, oh God, this could be, I could start falling for them, or I know I could, fall in love with them or like them, or this could be more than what it is. I'm overwhelmed with this sense of like paranoia, really is the best way to describe it, but like, anxiety and just like, oh my God, like, no, please, I've had the problem of like distancing myself and not letting it happen. Like, I don't want to fall in love. Because of, oh God, what's going to happen? I'm giving my heart to somebody, and you don't know what they're going to do with it. You don't know how they're going to treat it, and especially, and like I feel like I'm pretty vulnerable in my current life situation. I'm very open. I'm very honest to people, and I also keep a very close knit set of friends. So I'm also very I'm very vulnerable. Like, I feel like if I got into a relationship and it went poorly, it's just I know it would like break me. So paranoia is about that, being in that situation where you're talking to somebody and then being like, oh God, this person's not going to be my friend. They're just not going to be my friend. And then being like, I hope treat me well. And so obviously the hook is just, can you fill the void? Like, I'm paranoid of things I can't avoid, like me needing you, which actually originally was loving you. We changed, that was the last second lyric change, but.
Well, it was interesting, and then the lyric is about friends and not necessarily about lovers. And so you have a little bit of that strong sense is kind of both in the way you're singing about it, I would say, right? Is that right? Like
I mean, obviously it's a very sarcastic. It's like when it says friend, it's very sarcastic. It's like, okay, you're not a friend again. You're not a friend again. So it's like,
so
it's like,
it means lover.
Yeah, it means like you're not my friend, you're my lover. Like, or you're not gonna, you're not a friend again. More to me, what you're not a friend again meant is like again, once again, you're not gonna be my friend. Just like the last person that I got into a relationship was not my friend. And so it's like, oh God, you're not a friend again. Here we go. So yeah, it's not about friend, but it's funny. The first time I sent that song to my parents, and my dad was like, yeah, I really relate to that with like your little sister and like her friends and stuff. And I was kind of like, interesting, yeah, very cool. It's like not what I meant by it, but everyone can interpret things however they want, and that's the beautiful thing about music. So that's why sometimes when some people ask about in depth about like a song or something, it's like you want to share as much as you can, but you don't want to overshare because then people will be like, no, this is what the song is about. It's like the song is about whatever you feel from the song. So, but yeah, that was my intention behind Paranoid. I saw a lot of people, obviously, like you mentioned, with George and other people being like, oh, it's about whatever. And I'm like, people can look into whatever they want and think about it. People were saying a lot of different theories. He has a secret lover. He has, whatever. And it's like, I love it. And I think it's all interesting, and it's all like how people interpret the songs to me is really, really cool. No, Spotlight really is about, to me, I mean, like, if I'm being more literal, so I've taken the less literal approach and the more literal approach, and when I get like clown when I say the less literal approach so far, because people are like, I'll be like, yeah, I mean, Spotlight's about like wanting to put, because I'm famous and because I have all this tension on me. When I'm in my normal life, it's like wanting to put the people in my life in the spotlight, make sure they feel that way. But then there's lyrics like, where it's like, the celebrity in my bed, and like, close the curtains, now you're all mine. Like, it's like, it's about, that special someone in your life, and how, in my mind, because I feel so special, like, I want them to feel that same, specialness. And because of the fact that my life is so on cameras and so public, it's like, I want that part of my life to be private, regardless of who that person is. And I think that's that. So when it says lyrics, it's like, they're all kind of double entendres, but it's like, turn off the cameras, now you're all mine. It's more like, yeah, like now, and close the curtains, now it's our time. It's like, yeah, once the cameras are off, once we're not, doing anything, it's our time. It's me and you. There's no one else. No one else exists in the world, regardless of, the fact that there's 30 million people that are looming over or whatever. So yeah, it's about specifically relationships and how I want people to feel that I want that person to feel special, and like I do, and that so it was inspired by my fans for sure, because it's like, yeah, that feeling that I get from my fans, like I'll be your super fan. I'm gonna be your number one fan. I'll be with a ticket in my hand every time you're there to watch your show, which is just like your life, so it's a really fun song. I love it. It's fun to sing. It's fun. It feels very like happy, and it's just sharing the love. So, yep. And every song's about like that's the overall theme of the EP really is love, which is interesting because it's not like in a traditional sense where you'd think like, oh, if you think of a love song or an EP about love, you wouldn't necessarily think of this EP. But every song is about love. It's just about loving my family, whether it's my brother or my sister, or loving my parents, appreciating them for what they've done, or Everest, about loving my life, or or in this case for Spotlight about loving somebody, or same thing with Paranoid, and they all have that same theme of just there's so many different kinds of love, and each one of them has a different part of my life, and I feel like right now that's the best way to describe my life is just love. I have so much love for people. I have so much love for my situation. I'm so appreciative. I have love for my family, for my friends, for my fans, for everyone who got me here. And so I feel like this EP is really just a way for me to get rid of some of that love, so I can not be so overwhelmed with bubbling with love. So yeah, Everest is the only one that's less of a story and more of an emotion. It's more of just like, I'm so high, I'm on Everest. When I went in writing the song, it was like, hey, I want to write a song that's about like, I don't do drugs. I'm not, I don't smoke weed. I didn't drink alcohol until last October. That was when I had my first drink. So I was like, I want to write a song that's like about, but I still have that same feeling. I don't need to, because I have that same feeling of, of being on the top of a mountain. So I went in with that, and it was, of course, it's still a story, which is why it's still in order in the EP, because it's more about, YouTube and everything, everything happening with my family and friends, and everything in the last couple of years has just been so awesome and amazing, and it's been like a real high. And so I wanted to write a song, about that. And when we went in, I remember the first version was a little too on the nose. It was like the lyrics were like a little too on the nose as we were writing it, and we were like, let's go back and let's change it a little bit. I'm trying to remember any specifics I can like quote, but it'd be like I think one of them was like, take a hit, but it's okay because I get back up, or something, which is like a double entendre. But then it's like, when I was listening, I was like, it sounds too much like I'm actually saying like take a hit, and I don't know if I want to be too on the nose with the whole drug theme. So we pulled it back a little bit, but yeah, I thought it would be perfect for a feature. So just because the whole concept and everything, and the way the song, it was such a unique, like it had like almost Minecraft sounding like notes in it at the beginning and also throughout. And so I thought it'd be really cool to have a feature. And so me and the producer Y2K we discussed it, who that could be, and he's good friends with Gravy, and he mentioned his name, and I was like, it's got to be. So Invincible is it's mostly, when I went in with the concept of like it's in my DNA, like I feel invincible. I think the original lyrics I went in with was which we ended up using was I swear that you're invincible. I'll swear that you're invincible until the day that you die. I'll pretend that you're invisible and that you're right by my side. So it's like, oh, you didn't die. You're invisible. You're still there. You're alive. And that was what I went in with. And obviously it shifted and morphed. And then you morph over time when you're talking and you're trying to fit into singing well and getting across the point. And it was about like my DNA and feeling like how my family makes me feel so strong. The day before I wrote that song, my brother was in the hospital, and we didn't know what. He's fine now, luckily. But we didn't know what the hell was wrong with him. He every time he would sit up, he would pass out. We found him in the bathroom. I was here in LA, and obviously this is back in Florida. He was found in the bathroom, massive gash like on his head, just randomly. And he's younger than me. He's fit. He's better shape than me, healthier than me. A genius. I mean, not that it matters, but he's a genius. It really made me. It was the first time in a long time that I didn't feel invincible. And kind of I had that realization that really made me want to write a song about it was that like, once he ended, they never found out what it was actually, but for a long time they were giving him, they thought it was like his heart. They thought it was like a whole day where like he was like dying and we had no idea what was happening. And he was, blood pressure was going down and down and down and down. And it was very scary. And the next day, luckily it was about a 24-hour period, and then he still wasn't out of the hospital, but he seemed to be getting better. They didn't know why or how, or they were giving a bunch of different like antibiotics and stuff. And yeah, it made me realize that it didn't make me realize. It made me realize that hey, right now I don't feel invincible. And why is that? And I was like, oh, because of all the things that these people, my brother, my parents have done for me in my life that make me feel invincible, make me believe in myself. And I have such a strong, like a lot of people mention my confidence or security in myself and my beliefs and who I am, and that comes from somewhere. And I truly believe that a lot of that comes from my family. And so the first verse is about my parents, and it's about obviously there was the recession when I was it's like 2008, so I was 8 to 10, and we had to move houses because of it, and obviously there was a lot behind the scenes going on that I didn't know about as I was a kid, and obviously I got Christmas presents and birthday presents, and everything was fine. I was screaming and crying, and I hated my parents. I was screaming at them and not cursing at them because I didn't curse, but I was getting very mad at them for making us move, and you're making me lose my friends, and it was a very, very emotional. This was the only song I actually cried while we were writing in the writing room, because it was obviously it was very fresh topics to my brother, but yeah, I didn't know what was going on, and behind the scenes they were finding ways to make ends meet and finding ways to still have birthday parties and still have Christmas presents and calling in favors from grandparents or whatever they needed to do to make it happen, and never falter or never make me even think for a second that they were willing to take my punches and be like, in order to in the long run have things be better. And then the second verse is about my brother, and it was a time when a very specific time when I really needed help, and this was more recent, but it wasn't in the last like year or so, but it was very recent. And I asked him to come and stay with me at my house for a little bit to help me get through something that I was going through. And he dropped everything and came over and stayed with me, slept on the floor in my room with me. And then at the very end of it, after I was like, I'm good, thank you so much, he broke down in tears, and it was the first time I'd ever seen him cry. And he told me that his girlfriend had cheated on him, and that he needed it just as much as I did. That he needed to come over and be with me. And again, it was the fact that he was willing to hold that in and not. He didn't want to burden me with any more than I already had. So he was willing to keep that in and save that until I was through whatever I needed to get through, and willing to drop everything and sleep on my bedroom floor while he's going through this massive thing and not even tell me that he's going through this. And to me, it's so inspiring. It is just, to me, it's just amazing, and it makes me think, well, if he did that, like he shares the same DNA as I do. Like he comes from the same parents. He grew up the same way. Like inspires me to be like, I can be like that. I can, you know, I can be that good. I can be that pure. I can be that strong to do it. I can be that invincible. And so, yeah. And so, you know, obviously in the you know, bridge talking about, or the pre talking about, you know, tears fell, but you never did, and you never give up. And that was ingrained in me as a kid. My dad was a coach and stuff, and it was very much like, never give up and, you know, never quit. And so, yeah.
What did he coach you, or?
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he coached me. Coached you know, my whole family. He did some refereeing. He did coach. He coached. It wasn't his job, but he did. Yeah, he at the little leagues. He coached me in football and soccer and basketball and everything. He was very sports driven. But yeah, always had that mindset. Never give up, and every second, not until there's a second left on the you know, until the clock hits zero. You know, and that's kind of I like to think that affected my life in way more ways than just sports. You know, so. It's not just about Technoblade. It is about that feeling. And I had a childhood friend of mine that again, the first verse is it's all meant to feel like one coherent story, obviously. But the first verse is more about that, and the second verse is more about techno. Yeah, a childhood friend of mine, his mom passed away out of absolutely nowhere. And I remember it was the first time I ever wore a suit, as far as I know. I was at the funeral. And I remember crying and I remember specifically that I was crying because I was picturing my mom. I remember feeling bad and crying more because I wasn't thinking of his mom. I was thinking of my mom. And it made me feel bad that I was thinking about I was selfish and thinking about my mom. And it's still like, you know, starting to tear up now. It's like, it feels wrong. Like you're, you know, whatever. And in the same way that, you know, obviously when techno passed, it's like almost selfishly thinking of myself and thinking of the fact that I see myself in him and how we had so much similarities, and you know, he was the same age as me, and he had the same career as me, and we both had a very similar lifestyle, and you know, now we had a very similar family. We had all those things that make it so it's just shocking, and even it hits even closer to home, where it's like that could be me. And so yeah, obviously when techno passed, it was just another kind of recollection of that feeling of like I could disappear at any moment, but then kind of accepting that and being like, yeah, but so what? Like I want to live my life to the fullest, and you know, they would want me to, and you got to live with no regrets. And like I said earlier, it's like I want to have as big of an impact on the world as I can, and as many people as I can, and you can only do that by moving on and enjoying your life. And so Until I'm Dead is kind of a very positive spin on death and being, you know, yeah, until I end up dead, I'm gonna be just fine. Obviously, Techno was very, very sarcastic, and he always had so many funny quotes that were just ridiculous. And so one of them, he didn't say this, but I could. He didn't say this, but I could totally see him saying it. Is the, you know, oh, everything's gonna be just fine. Oh, until you're dead, of course. Like until you end up dead. And so I kind of took that same sarcastic mantra, I guess, and ran with it, and it became Until I'm Dead.